Being made whole.
Lots of things are transpiring, lots of things are shifting and developing. Some great, some not so great. And either way, understand that God is centered and stable and structured and cemented throughout the entire experience, individually, collectively, and also personally with you. So we're going to use that as a backdrop as we are transmitting and transfusing this movement, this message, this momentum into you tonight. And I want to use today's theme if you're watching this wherever you are, as a very, very simple declaration, okay? A declaration and a discussion with your inner soul. And the topic is very, very simple: being made whole. So feel free to write that down. I know that you have your notepad as good students. Being made whole. So this past cycle, well, we've switched the conversation from human dynamics of years, although welcome to a new lunar year. You're welcome. And we've tried to expand the conversation of your life to, and not deduce it down simply to a few years, a few months, a few moments in your journey. And so we've started saying cycles, because cycles is the nature of how things continue, how things are created, how things are cultivated, and ultimately how things come to a state of completion. Where you are in this journey has been a beautiful thing to behold. It is a joy to sit in your becoming. And for some of you, sit in your beingness, because you've gotten to a place that you've realized that it's a beautiful thing to have the mindset of survival, because that is in itself sometimes a day-by-day journey. Having a mind that you say, I'm here, I'm surviving, I'm stable, I'm sourcing strength where it can come. And then there's a next level where you get to places where you say, hey, I'm thriving. I'm not simply curating points of joy. I'm not simply curating points of peace, but I'm actually in a place that I'm getting settled and starting to have a little glimpse into who I am, why I am, and ultimately where I'm going in this journey, this cycle of life. I want you to be encouraged that as you are flowing with yourself and flowing with the nature of existence, that you don't attempt to bring into force what ultimately is yours by favor. It's easy to be in a place where you've learned how to forcefully take your peace, forcefully take your joy, forcefully take your clarity. And if you're not mindful, you create this dynamic within your mind, within your psyche, that everything must be difficult. And while things can be difficult, and for some, currently, things are difficult, there is a space that you get to where the deeper part, the inner part of you understands that while you may be in a place of worry, even in a place of woe, you're being made whole in that entire process. And I want to speak from that position today. Now, when you hear that, the human mind has been conditioned to process what I just said in a very unique way. Being made whole, the mind, and for some of you, previous teaching has enveloped this imagery of puzzle pieces, of ingredients that individually are pieces and parts to an experience that is yet evolving. It is useless or not as powerful individually, but put it together and the experience has a position and a perspective that sometimes you don't see coming. It's like baking a cake, those of you that actually use your kitchen. The eggs, the flour, the sugar, all the other ingredients you put together individually have their purpose, and some taste good by themselves. If you're being honest, there are some ingredients you're just not trying to take out of your pantry or out of your refrigerator and just consume by itself. It's part of a bigger picture. Your life is no different, but I want to pause you there for a moment, that the beauty of your life being whole is that it is not singularly one thing. It is not individually one part. It's a collective. I want to shift your thinking on your development. And funny enough, if you've been going through the Neumology curriculum, you'll get eventually, you'll get to a place where I am teaching, well, the other human reiteration of me is teaching you about development. And we get to a place where we kind of tell you to drop development, drop the words growth, and just be to a place where you are evaluating who you are as your essence, and not look at everything as a progressive lack that's growing into something that's better than the former lack, but to look at your life as it is, as one group, one particular group. And what I mean by that is, many times when I say to you in your soul that you are being made whole, or there's just a declaration of be made whole, you're thinking that I am taking bits and pieces of where you are now, that you are taking bits and pieces of where you have been, what you're going through right now, and then at the end of that cycle, you're going to be able to articulate some beautiful poetic statement that all things work for your good. And they do. But I want to affirm you right now that while things just are working for your good, and all things in the end of that cycle work for your good, I want to help you with this. All things are. And Prophet started the session tonight with a beautiful just awareness and declaration of just, I am here. That where you are is not just that you are enough now, that where you are now and who you are now is necessary for what is now. When you think about your life as pieces and parts, you have the perspective that you are never complete. And I want you to hear me on this, because this is going to solve a lot of disagreements that your soul has been walking through. What happens is your consciousness built up a capacity to absorb the little. You train your mind to absorb small ingredients, small portions, small receiving. And that comes from the thinking of, well, you're being made whole. Meaning the old paradigm of, I am incomplete in this area. I'm lacking in this space. I don't fully see everything here. I don't fully know now. And what's happening is you are, in essence, resourcing and putting all those things together. And then what happens is you have part of joy, a piece of vision, a little bit of happiness, a lot of pain, a little bit of worry, kind of enough money, a lot of hope. And you put all that together, and then the mind has been tricked into thinking that is wholeness. In reality, what's happened is that's not wholeness, it's collection. You have collected and absorbed to you lots of individual inferiorities. There's been an accumulation of small portions and pieces. And that's relevant to you because if you look at where you are right now, life will paint a picture for you as your eyes are open, and you'll start to see, I am receiving in a small portion. I am loving proportionately. I am thinking about my greatness in an individual level with a minute detail. And what happens is when you're trying to have a bigger vision for your life, when you're trying to see how deeply you are loved by me, when you're trying to understand how powerful the universe has you in its grasp, you find yourself wanting and digging deeper, trying to comprehend the magnitude of that experience. And that's because the mind has been processing at a lower gear. And so what happens is your capacity to receive fully is diminished by your capacity to see in fragments. So then relationships are seen in fragments. I can see them doing this with me. I can't see them doing this part of the journey with me. I can see myself making this amount of money, but I can't quite see this different type of financial experiences. Family, I see this portion that works well, but not the other portion. And let me help clarify this. The challenge with the challenges that are presented with this perspective are usually focused on everything that you desire, everything that you want, everything that is something that you would like to bring into your life all the more. If you take a picture, again, in meditation, you typically don't think about all of the negative, bad, and challenging aspects of your life in the same way. The good things typically have a small filter. The bad things typically have an extremely powerful and greater filter. Think about it for a moment. Think about where you are right now. Look at the perspective of the good things, look at the perspective of the bad things, and then weigh those two things together on the scale of your sensing. Let your sensing tell you which part of the scale is heavier than the other. More than likely, it's the negative aspect as a whole. Now, today you may be great, and we applaud that. This week may have been a beautiful, beautiful experience for you, and we want you to keep that going. I also want to bring to your remembrance that since cycles come and go, although that was this week, next week is a different week. Although that was today, tomorrow is a different day. And that's not to discourage you or to diminish where you are, but that is to help make sure that your dynamic stays settled no matter where you are. In the good, you are here filtering your power at a rate that is consistent. And when you go through the challenging and despairing parts of your life, that you look at that life and look at that part of your journey in the same way. As powerful as you're navigating the good, powerfully you can navigate that which isn't going so great. So here's how I want you to look at this. When you're looking at your individual facets of life, I want you to start looking at those as, now hold on to your soul for a moment, because as we dive deeper into this, part of you is going to have a slight resistance. You know who you are. The rest of you will have a different revelation that comes through this, and everyone else will just sit in it. Okay? Just rest in it for a bit. Here's how I want you to start looking at every experience of your life. Every experience is being made whole by itself. I'm going to say that again, and I want you to tell me if you understand what I'm saying. Every individual experience, every circumstance, every situation by itself is being made whole. Different from all of these individuals collectively are making me whole. Let's go to your refrigerator for a moment. While there are a lot of items in the refrigerator, you really don't process that your refrigerator is whole. I mean, you may say some interesting things of your refrigerator is full, which, let me translate that. You have a lot of stuff in there. The items themselves are not full. Now, let me paint the picture for you. That jug of milk that you have is half full, is half whole. Well, if you go to the other refrigerator and pull the resources and milk from that, you could fill that half jug, and then that individual milk would be made whole. Filling the milk has nothing to do with the orange juice. And here's why I want to shift your perspective on this, because you're going to get to a place in your meal preparation and in your desires as you go throughout the day where you're going to say, I don't want milk right now, I want orange juice. The problem is you're going to run into is that, as cute as it sounds to say my refrigerator has been made whole, when you want orange juice, you want the desire to be full enough that your needs in that area get met. I want you to hear me, because your soul is getting it and your mind is going to click in soon. And that goes with everything. Now, I know everyone wants me, or some of you want me to say, yes, God, I want my finances to be made whole. My joy, my happiness to be made whole. My vision to be made whole. Let me also help you understand, I am a God of preparation, and I am a God of also completion with you. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And I never want you to be in a place where you feel blindsided by a power that you think is seemingly greater than you. So here's what happens often. When you're going through your living experience, your existence here in the earth realm, when you find someone that's happy, when you are whole in your happiness, there's a level of congruence, sometimes a level of celebration with you, with that other person. There's a level of congruence. We're family in the happiness space because their happiness level is whole. Your happiness level is whole. There's a level of community that comes along with that. Now, if their happiness level is at 90 and your happiness level is at 10, you don't often meet them with celebration, you meet them with criticism. No one could ever be that happy. No one smiles that much. Good morning. What's so good about it? You shift your consciousness from celebration to criticism because what you're doing is you're judging your filter by the facts that are being presented to you in that moment. Are you with me? And the same is true across the board. This is why you judge harshly, many of you, when it comes to finances, because when you hear someone talk about finance, they're making X amount, your filter kicks in and looks at the facts of your life, or let me rephrase it. You look at the level of fullness within you or the lack thereof, and your gauge looks at their gauge, even if it's perceptive, doesn't have to be a reality. And then what happens is you judge them accordingly in celebration or in critique. Now, what you've been trained to do in those categories are, hey, someone's happy, you need to be made whole in happiness, work on that. So you exercise more, you change your diet, you watch some funny things on YouTube, you meditate, you work on your affirmations, you do devotions more, you go through the Neumology curriculum a little bit more. Hint, hint, hint. You have sex more. Some of you eat a few more edibles. You drink a little bit more. You go on that vacation you needed to because what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, listen, your happiness is not going to be a cause for my frustration, and your happiness at 90% is not going to overpower me because I'm right now currently at 10%. So my goal is to go from 10, add 80% more to it, and now we're at 90%. So when I look at you and you're 90%, I don't feel overpowered. If anything, we're peers. You do that with joy. You do that with happiness. You do that with arguably all the good things. Now what I'm asking for you to do is look at all the things that are negative in your life in the same fashion. And here we go. Do you know why troubles often are the hardest thing for humans? It's because you are facing an adversary and an adverse experience that at that moment, they have mastered anger. They have mastered frustration. They have mastered judgment. They've spent a life in critique. It's their lifestyle. That entity has embodied sadness, pain. And what you're seeing is someone that and something that has decided that, I know some people look at this as a bad thing, and maybe I do at some conscious or unconscious level. But since I'm here, I've decided to do all things with excellence. I've decided to do all things greatly, and my power does not stop just because I get to something that's bad. I use my power even in the thing that some would say is bad, and I use my power even for the thing that some would say can bring about my downfall. So even when I'm sad, I'm really good at being sad. So what happens is, you meet someone else's sadness, someone else's frustration, someone else's pain, someone else's worry, someone else's woe, and then you see them in their power in that space. And so what happens, because the congruence of your consciousness kicks in, and you say, wow, okay, their power in their pain and how they exercise their pain is greater than my pain. And I know you believe that it does something to you differently than what the joy does, and it doesn't. It does the exact same thing. It influences you. When someone smiles at you, an influence happens. When someone laughs, there's an influence that happens, and you respond. For some of you, you laugh. For some of you, you smile. For some of you that are a little bit more cantankerous, judgment and criticism kicks in. Why are you smiling? Because what you're looking at yourself in that moment is, well, I wish I could smile like that. So rather than exercising your power towards smiling and being happy, you exercise your power for self-criticism and self-judgment and self-condemnation. The same thing is true, and the same thing is happening when it comes to pain. When you're looking or experiencing external pain, frustrations, any negative experience that you are going through, what you're doing is your mind, rather, is saying that which I see externally, that which I'm experiencing around me feels greater than the capacity of my power within me. So what do I do? Now, most of you have trained yourself that when something negative happens around you, you diminish yourself and allow that negative thing to then overtake you. To the place and to the point where you are resource deficient and draining yourself in your dynamic more and more and more. And some of you call that waiting. Some of you call that being patient. Some of you call that resilience. Some of you call that many things. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're waiting till you have run empty. Because there is a mindset that says if you simply rest where you are and not resist what you're going through, then at some point you'll be good. You will be good, but here's what's happening. You're draining your resources to the point of being empty, so then you need to be filled back up again. God, are you telling us to be frustrated? Yes. God, no, I'm serious. Are you telling us to be frustrated and perfect frustration? Yes. You're great at acknowledging. I'm asking you to absorb it until you're full of it. And here's why I'm asking you to do it. Because anything you don't receive, you are denying. I'll say that again because I want you to hear it with a different ear than your programmed ear is hearing it now. Anything that you're not receiving, you are denying. Because you've learned, oh, I'm not frustrated. Happiness comes to me now and in all places and in all ways. I believe, I receive. But the fact is you're frustrated. What would happen if you decided to be made whole in the area of your frustration? I know you're thinking about it, and I want you to keep thinking about it. What would happen if you stopped resisting and started receiving the reality of what's already present? And you just acknowledge, yeah, frustrated in this. And I'm good at being frustrated. I'm frustrated in that area. And I am a pro at that. What's going to happen is you are eventually going to get to a place where your soul gets so full of frustrations that the next time a frustration comes to you, you're going to say, you know what? I think I'm done with frustrations. I am good. We cannot put any more milk into this container. The milk container has been made whole. The frustration reservoir is now full, cannot absorb anymore. You know what? My sadness container is now to the place of overflowing. You know what? I think I could worry a little bit more because I've got some room left there. So while I may be perfect in sadness, while I may be full in frustration, worry, okay, let's go ahead and list all the ways and things and situations and circumstances that I am worried about now. And matter of fact, I'm such a pro. I can create a worry that has not yet manifested. Let me do that now. And eventually, what's going to happen with you is anytime that your mind gets a mirror of a negative experience, a frustration, someone said something, someone did something, someone lied, someone did anything around to you, or you just witnessed it, your body is going to say, this container is full. I have been made whole when it comes to frustration. And here's the thing about certain ingredients. There's certain ingredients that once they're full, you're not going to simply seek to empty the container just to fill it back up again. Okay, I'll put it in a different circumstance. You know there's certain things in your cabinet, in your pantry, that you get super frustrated and annoyed when you run low on it. And for some of you, that may be the gas in your car. For some of you, that may be paprika or salt or sugar. And some of you keep a stockpile of butter just in case, because you know, hey, I always cook with butter, so we can't run out of butter. That's just not an option. We may run out of paprika every now and then. What you're going to do eventually as you're processing, you know what, I am being made whole in my frustration, there's some things you're just not going to want to be emptied of. And for some of you, that's going to be frustration. So what you're going to program yourself to do is you're going to program yourself how your capacity, or how the capacity of fullness and wholeness looks. It does not matter that what you're full of is negative to you. What matters is you have the perspective. Let me clarify that. You have the comparison of what fullness and wholeness should feel like. Some of you have had grief before, to the point that you couldn't walk, think, or process anything. But you have never had joy to the point of getting to your knees overflowing. That's the difference. Some of you have had your worry to a level of overflowing, but if I ask you how you think about your finances, you couldn't tell me, oh yeah, I understand how I feel with finances overflowing. And that's because you don't have enough jugs or parts of you or the containers that are in your consciousness full where you can say, I know how this feels when I'm full. I know how this feels when I'm whole. And you start comparing even the things that are negative to the things that are positive. Again, we use that very, very freely here. You will use the things that are causing you despair as a comparison to the other things that you really, really desire, which is why I'm asking you to stop running from any and everything. Use it all. And in that case, all things are working as they are.
In the next lesson, God teaches you how to direct your wholeness.